Okay, so we have a question here which says, suppose the ERB grants your firm a license to directly sell electricity to consumers as indicated by an estimated res- residential demand function for electricity. So this is our demand function for electricity, all right? Quantity QDX, quantity demanded for electricity. This quantity demanded for electricity is dependent on the price of electricity, the price of what is Y, good Y, the income of the people, and advertising. Okay, yes. Where the amount of electricity consumed sells for 0.44 kwacha per unit and good Y sells for 1 kwacha per unit, the company utilizes 2,000 units of advertising on public information campaigns and consumer education regarding electricity, and consumer income is 10,000 kwacha. Okay. So part A, how much electricity should the consumers purchase? All right. So for part A, all that we need to do is just substitute these values into the demand function. Okay. So you're going to say Q dx equals 12,000 minus 3. So px is 0.44 plus 4py. So py, substitute it with 1, minus m income. Consumer income is 10,000 plus 2a. 2a is advertising, 2,000 units of advertising. So we need to find the value, how much electricity should consumers should purchase. So we have got 12,000 minus 3 multiplied by 0.44. That's 1.32 plus 4 minus 10,000 plus 4,000. So again, say 12,000 minus 1.32 plus 4 minus 10,000 plus 4,000. So they should demand 6,000 6,002.68 units. Okay. That's how much the electricity consumers should purchase. Okay, you just substitute the values given to you into the demand function. Okay, then part B are the quantities of electricity and Y substitutes or complements. Okay, so here, even before we make any calculations, let us just look at the relationship between first the quantity of electricity and the price of good Y. All these others are held constant. Okay, so we have a plus sign here. So what this plus sign says is, if the price of good Y increases, holding these other variables constant, if the price of good Y increases, quantity demanded of electricity is also going to increase. So this indicates a substitute good. Why? Because when the price of good Y increases, people stop buying good Y and they switch to electricity, meaning the quantity demanded of electricity is going to go up. All right. So these two are substitutes. Okay. But let's show that through calculations. Okay. Remember how you determine if a good is a substitute or a complementary is the cross price elasticity of demand. Okay. So how we get the cross price elasticity of demand? We use this formula here. Okay. This first part of the formula is saying we're going to derive this function with respect to py. Okay. That is the first part of the function. Okay. So if we derive the demand function with respect to py, meaning if a number doesn't have a py, it disappears. Okay, so here, let me just put the demand function here, 12,000 minus 3px plus 4py minus m plus 2ax. So what it means is we're deriving this demand function with respect to py, meaning anything that doesn't have a py disappears. You don't regard it. Okay. So one trick you can remember for this, whenever you're deriving such functions, okay, since here we're deriving 4py, just remove the py and your answer is 4. Now let me show you how this 4 came. Okay, when you derive 4py, py is to the power 1. Remember, with differentiation, multiply the exponent by the coefficient. 1 times 4, that is 4. Then you subtract a 1 from the exponent. 1 minus 1, that is 0. So you have 4py to the power 0. Now anything to the power 0 is 1. That's why we just leave the answer as 4. Okay. Yes. So this first part we have done. Okay. So when we get to our formula here, cross price elasticity of demand, okay, where we say partial derivative of the demand function with respect to py multiplied by py over q, this equals 4 multiplied by py in the question was given was 1. Okay, the good Y sells for 1 kwacha per unit. Okay, our Q, quantity demanded, is this 6,000, 6,002.68. Okay, 6,002.68. Okay. So 1 divided by 6,002.68, that is 0.00016, and that multiplied by 4, 0.00, you will get 0.00064. Okay. So if your cross price elasticity of demand is positive, then you are dealing with substitute goods. Okay. X and Y are substitute goods. Okay. So those are the two ways you can tell. Okay. Just look at the demand function. Okay. Look at the sign in front of the coefficient. If it's a positive one, no, that's a positive relationship between the two goods. If it's a negative one, negative relationship. Okay. Now, part C. Is electricity a normal or an inferior good? Here, first we can come to our demand function, and let's look at the relationship between the quantity demanded of electricity and income, okay, and consumer income, holding these other factors constant. We look at the relationship between electricity and consumers' income. Since there's a minus sign here, it means there is a negative relationship. Meaning, when consumers' income increases, quantity demanded for electricity goes down. Okay. So, electricity is an inferior good. Okay, because remember, inferior goods, when your income increases, you buy less of them. A normal good, if your income increases, you buy more of it. For example, if your income increases, you're going to buy more mini meal, more tea, more coffee, more cremora. Have you seen? Those are normal goods. Your income increases, you buy more. Now, inferior goods, when your income increases, you buy less of them because now you're going to start buying normal goods. Okay. So let us show this with the income elasticity of demand, YED. Income elasticity of demand is what determines if a good is a normal or an inferior good. And this is the formula for income elasticity of demand. You're going to derive the demand function with respect to income multiplied by income over the quantity demanded. Okay. So first things first, let us derive our demand function with respect to income. Okay, so it says 12,000. Our demand function was 12,000 um, minus 3px plus 4py minus m plus 2m. So meaning, if the numbers don't have an m, you ignore them. So 12,000 doesn't have an m. 3px, 4py, and 2a. None of them have m's. M's is income. Because we're deriving this demand function with respect to m, income. So it means we're just deriving this negative m. Okay, so when you derive this negative m, you're just going to get negative 1. Okay, remember, negative m to the power 1, multiply the exponent with the coefficient. 1 times negative 1, that is negative 1. Subtract 1 from the exponent, so you have negative 1m to the power 0. M to the power 0 is just 1, so that's why our answer is negative 1. Okay, so when we substitute into our formula here, okay, income elasticity of demand, YED, the partial derivative of the demand function, so here you're going to put negative 1 multiplied by m is what was this? It was 10,000. 10,000 over Q is this 6,002.68. So negative 1. So you're going to say 10,000 divided by 6,002.68. You get 1.6665. Okay. Multiplied this by negative 1. You get negative 1.665. Okay. So since our income elasticity of demand is negative, okay, so good X is an inferior good. Is an inferior good. Okay, because YED is negative. Income elasticity of demand is negative. Okay. And here, substitute X and Y are substitute goods because XED is positive. Okay. Or you can even say the coefficient is positive, and you can look at the coefficient and say one is positive, one is a negative coefficient. Yes.